All right, looks like I'm doing my first YouTube live. Feels really weird, but I've been dying to try this for a long time. So today I am going to show you how I do a very quick, basic red lip look in a hurry. Basically just the simple way to go about it so you don't feel overwhelmed. And I'll just talk about the 3 main tips that I feel like really help achieve that look. Things that I just didn't really realize before. So we'll just dive in. So first things first, I'm going to prime my face with this Smashbox Photo Finish Primerizer. So it's been a couple hours since I took a shower, and sometimes your moisturizer can fade a little bit if you haven't already put on something on your face. So we're just prepping our skin, giving it a little boost here. And I do like how this is a moisturizer and a primer in one. So I'm going to do my best to look straight at you. So then the other thing that is super, super important is I'm going to start with this. Sorry, I have my products down here. So I'm going to take a sample of the BECCA Skin Love Foundation in the shade Shell. So this is my skin tone here. You can see I'm quite fair, and I have a lot of age spots and freckles and some discoloration in my face. So I am matching, even though I'm wearing a turtleneck, I am matching the color of foundation, to my neck. So the rest of my body is quite fair. So I'm going to match this to this. So if any of this was exposed, it would all look cohesive, okay? So I'm going to dip the end of my foundation brush, which is from Bobbi Brown. It's a buffing brush. I will talk about that probably in the next live because I would really like to explain makeup tools in a very, very basic way. It's been on my mind a lot. I want to do that. I'm just using the monitor right here to see what I'm doing. I'm not even using a mirror. So yeah, so anyways, so the first tip that I highly, highly recommend with getting a red lip look to look right is to have an even looking skin tone. And I don't mean texture. I don't mean like if you have dry skin or large pores or acne or anything like that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the color. You want it to look as even as possible. I'm just going to use this here. So I am just taking this foundation, and the way I'm using it today for a red lip is so that there is no hint of color in my skin coming through that would compete with my lipstick. And so that's why I'm doing it. And I always wondered when I would look at beautiful shots or photos of red lipstick makeup looks and thought, why does that look so good compared to stuff that I've tried before that just didn't look right? You know, I was like, why doesn't my red lipstick look as good? And so I would analyze things over time, and I slowly started to realize that their skin just looked extremely even. So you couldn't really see freckles or sunspot as much. I think freckles are totally fine, but the point is that the color, no coloring in your face can compete with a lipstick, and that just to the eye, it just the way it perceives it is just very pretty. So you can already see my skin is a little bit more even. This foundation is really, really beautiful. It's very, very skin-like. So I'm going to go in with a tiny bit more. It's very natural, but you can build it. And I just love how it actually looks like my skin, and I don't feel it. I really, really like it. I prefer it with my own moisturizer underneath and like to do it right away. It's not as ideal to do it later in the day, but that's fine. Anyways, so yeah, this is a really great foundation. If you want something natural that doesn't feel like foundation, but that can kind of color correct things, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's a really, really great option. So my skin is a lot more even now. If it looks a little light, it's partly the lighting. Oh shoot, sorry for the sunlight coming through my blinds here. You can still see like my skin, you know, but it's just more cohesive. And you'll be able to tell as I go along. So that is my main tip, is that you just want to get that coloring as even as possible. It's okay for moles and things like that to show through, but you want the coloring, can't emphasize it enough, to just look just like just the one color. So, and then I'm going to go into the Too Faced Born This Way concealer, multi-use sculpting concealer in the shade Almond. So I am going to brighten up my under eyes. I'm not going to use a crazy 10. I might go in with a tiny bit more, just because I have a lot of discoloration under my eyes and on my eyelids. So again, I want to, and I have 2 veins here. I'm not sure what from. So again, just trying to cancel all that out and make it look even. So then I take my beauty sponge, which is not even wet. It's not even clean. I know. And I am just going to press all of this in place. And so the reason I'm putting on my eyelids is to act as a primer and help anything I do with my eyes to stay in place more. So I like this concealer because it's pretty high coverage, but it's not quite as heavy and kind of dry feeling as some other super high coverage concealers can feel. So I haven't had it for too long, but so far so good. I think I might like the shade I have in Shape Tape a little bit better. I think that shade is just a little bit more perfect for my skin tone. The one I use in Shape Tape is light neutral, and it's honestly just the best shade for me. It's just the perfect, levels of pink and yellow and just kind of that neutral ground, So you can already see that has just made it a very clean canvas. So even if I put a bold lip on my lip right now, it would just really stand out and my face wouldn't compete, okay? So tip number 1. So right now, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to set things in place. I'm going to take my Laura Mercier Secret Brightening Powder, and I use this for my under eyes. It's a very, very fine white powder, and I just really like how it looks under the eyes. It's made for under the eyes, so this is just helping to keep my concealer in place and to not crease. It's really good for that. And in photos, it kind of has light reflecting qualities, this powder. So I just really like it. So it has a bit of a brightening look as well. So I'm only going to use just a little bit. And I'm not going to bother setting my face. I think this is just fine. And so tip number 2 that I find is just really, really crucial is to have your eyes framed really well with your eyebrows. And it's not so much the style of the eyebrow, just as long as they're really well defined, whether they're a bushy brow or a bushy boy brow or just, anything like that, whether you like it super carved out like Instagram. The point is just that they're not left alone, that you do make effort to frame them. So what I'm using today is the Dior brow styler. I am so sorry. I feel so out of practice, in this shade Dark Brown. I love this thing. I find it a little expensive, especially for how much you get. So it's a little painful. I'm just brushing out my brow hairs here, but I feel like the formula is just the perfect amount of creamy versus dry. So I don't feel like it slips around anywhere. And I love, see how micro fine that is? I can just draw on hairs and it just looks so good. I don't know. It's just really, really easy to work with. I really, really like it. I wish I could find a dupe for it, but sometimes it's just what it is, So I am just going in and framing my brows and just filling in. I got microblading done a little while ago, so that's why they kind of look like this. So I'm just going along the edges of where the microblading is, and then I'm going to just lightly fill it in. So I basically get my outline a little darker and then just fill in inside of that. And I love having microblading done. Saves me a lot of time, my brows. I don't have to waste a bunch of time trying to just get it right, you know, like the shape is just always there. This might seem a little bit bold, but I will say when I go really soft with filling in my microblading, when I look in the photo later, I'm like, oh, I should have like made the tail a little longer, like gone a little bit more. So that's kind of why I'm doing that. So you can see in real time, instead of it being edited out as usual, you can see how easy that was. So again, even skin, defined brows, I'm telling you, it will really change your look when you're trying to do a bold lip, but especially a red lip. It makes such a big difference. Because I found that no matter what was on the eye, whether it was a smoky eye, a big wing, or just like practically nothing, just mascara, you know, it didn't really come down to that made the difference. It was really these things that I'm talking about today. Of course, this is my opinion, but have a look for yourself on Pinterest or Google Images and look at red lip looks that are really just beautifully done. And I think you might find that these things are found in those photos. So super, super even skin, nice defined brows that aren't lost. And one more thing. So I'm almost done here. I'm just using a laptop today for a change. And I can hear the fan kind of whirring. So I hope that doesn't bother you and that it's not picking up on that. So usually I measure the outer tail, like how far I want it to go. But then I go a little further because like I said, when I didn't go further, I saw in the photos like, oh, I should have gone further. It just didn't look like enough. So just put a little in there. Yeah, I just love this pencil. And I just go like this, just soften the edges a little bit. Just lift those brow hairs. You can kind of get in there. I'm sorry. You know, see where you may have missed. I really, really love this pencil. Price is annoying, but it's just so good. So, whoopsies. Even skin, nice defined brows, okay? So we're just gonna throw a little bit on the eyes. I'm just gonna take my, the Natasha Denona Lila palette. There are some really pretty neutral matte eyeshadows in here that I really want to use today. I'm going to use this one. I think basically just this one, maybe a little bit of that to deepen it up. And I still left this flap in, so sorry it's kind of loud. This one's called Mercier and Layla. So I'll just show you what I do if I get really quiet. Let's take a look. So I will say I am using the Heavenly Luxe eyeshadow brush. Yeah. It's just super, super soft. Sorry, I can tell my brain is a little like struggling to think here. So I found that with this palette, the softer the brush, the easier the eyeshadows were to work with. So with eyes today, I am just defining my crease here with Mercier, this top cool one. I know it looks a lot cooler and lighter in the pan. When you see it put on, it's like, oh, that looks deeper, but it's quite soft. This brush is just, I mean, Heavenly Luxe is a very appropriate name. It's very, very soft. So I find that it gets this eyeshadow on really well without kind of lifting it away on me. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch this and put this on my lower lash line. Keeping it very simple today. And I'm just going to connect it with my outer corner here. Okay, so that's kind of it, right? I'm going to take that outer corner on my lid here. Oopsie daisies. Okay, it's the same thing. I'm just focusing on pressing that color into my crease. I'm just truly adding some definition to my eye socket there. See how I'm kind of like just pressing. So I press in the amount of color that I want first, and when I have reached the depth that I want, then I start to really soften out the edges by kind of rubbing back and forth and buffing things out. So that's how I like to do things. So now that I have like the intensity that I want, I go in mostly over the edges here, you see? And I'm going to soften up those edges so they look diffused. See what a difference that makes? This side is a little deeper. So I'll go in a bit more. Sorry for the noise of this thing, but I don't want to take it off because it has the names. It's probably not my favorite packaging, but in a way it's kind of innovative and helpful. It's just noisy. So I pinch that brush. I'm sticking to more the outer third of my lower lash line. Maybe 2/3. I'm not going all the way in. Okay, and then I'm just meeting out with that one outer corner. And we just created that definition, okay? So I chose a very neutral, cool eyeshadow because again, I find that that keeps the focus on the red lip and doesn't compete, but it's still bringing that attention to your eye in a really beautiful, soft way. So if you want to do a little bit more than this, which is usually where I'm at, I'm going to take Layla. It's the same tone, but it's a little deeper, has a little bit of sheen to it, not much. And I'm just going to add that to the outer third of my lid only. Just adding that depth in that corner there. So I'm just pressing that on there. Very simple, quick little step. If you want it a little deeper, if you don't want the lid to be quite as light. Okay. If you're wondering what I'm going to do with the rest of the lid, I'm going to add a light shade. This is the last one. It's called Juneau. It's really cool. It has some pink reflex in it. I just take my ring finger, which is my favorite for any slightly metallic eyeshadow at all. And I'm just going to press that on there, see? So it's going to brighten up that inner third there. It just adds a little bit more life. And I also always love to lighten up the inner corner as well. So I take it on the inside like that. And then with the bottom of my finger, I'm going to grab the lower lash line inner third. I feel like I'm talking about math or something. Okay. Other side. See that difference? If you want that kind of more brightening effect, I think it just opens up the eye a little bit more. Just these simple things that we can do. And we don't have much left. Of course, this always takes a little longer from talking, but if you already know just the products you love to use, you have your go-to foundation, stuff like that, and just follow these super, super simple basic tips, I bet you'll be able to elevate your favorite red lip look and maybe be able to figure out like, oh, that's what I was missing. That's why it never quite looked as vibrant or quite as, I don't know, eye-catching as you'd wanted, you know? Maybe redness is coming through on your skin tone and it just kind of didn't let the red lip take center stage and just didn't look quite right, you know what I mean? So that is the eye there. I'm going to throw on mascara, but I want to, what should we do? Should we mascara? Let's just get mascara over with so we can just wrap up the eyes completely. I'm going to use IT Cosmetics Superhero Mascara, which is my favorite. There's a few that I love. I don't have it with me. I have the Marc Jacobs Velvet Noir. I think it's Major Volume Mascara. Love, love, love. I think that and this one are my absolute favorites because my eyelashes are not that good. They really aren't. And that one and this one really help my eyelashes that are super frail and just want to fall all the time. This one and that one by Marc Jacobs just really help to actually lift up my eyelash and kind of hold it in place. But they're not so thin that my eyelashes look like nothing, you know, like they add a lot of volume with just one coat, you know. It's very impressive. Hang on, let me just there. I highly, highly recommend this mascara. Let's go on my lid. So I kind of wiggle and then slowly lift my eyelashes. I find that technique helps a lot as well. See how I just kind of hold it up in place for a moment there at the end. Okay. That's not bad, huh? Do a little on the lower lash line. Don't forget that. I feel like it just does the same to your lower lashes as your upper lashes. It just creates that beautiful definition and it just opens the eye, you know, instead of it just being only like opening up the top, it opens the bottom as well. So don't neglect your lower lashes. Okay. So I'm not gonna like, you know, try and perfect them like a nutcase here. Just leave it at that. And I think that looks pretty dang good. If only I could show you how bad my lashes look with other mascaras, you would understand much better how good this one really is. I really like a mascara that can pack a punch with just one coat as well. And I find that this one does that so well. Wish I could fast forward this part, sorry. But no look would look right without just getting that mascara done. I don't feel like doing lashes today. All right. Oh, man, this mascara is just so good. Okay. Now we'll get on to our last tip that I feel like is just super important. Okay, got it? Right, that's not bad, not bad at all. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw on a little bit of bronzer really quick. I'm going to use my little Laura Geller Baked Bronze-N-Brighten in the shade medium. The reason why this is small, so the regular sizes are like this. Okay, this around. I bought a little set one time. It was good value, and I just love these blushes and bronzers. So this came with a blush I've been wanting to get. It's called the Tropic Hues, which is more of like a peach coral blush that I adore. And it came with this, and I was like, oh, it was just such a no-brainer. It's probably like a holiday set or something. Oh, my legs feel so stiff. Oh. Okay, I'm going to take my Bare Minerals Full Flawless Face Brush, which is just giant and fluffy. I'm going to just kind of you know, poop it all around in there so I get lots on there. I don't know why I keep putting this down because I still need it. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a little bit of definition in the hollows of my cheeks here. You can already see my, you know, that shape there. So similar to what we did with the eyes, right? Nothing major with color, and that's another reason why I'm using this bronzer, is it's not super warm or anything like that. Some bronzers are just really like, oh wow, that is like, the focus is to really make you look like you came back from a vacation, you know? Whereas this one is to add a little bit of warmth, but a lot of definition, and then just kind of, it like helps to create that definition, you know, but like makes the focus on your face and your skin instead of the makeup. You know what I mean? Maybe that's a better way of putting it. So I'm just going to put a little bit on the either side of the bridge of my nose. So I went like that, right? So I'm just grabbing the bridge. See that? It's just really simple. It's almost like a 3-second nose job. Not that I'm trying to do a nose job. I think mine is fine, you know, but it just helps to balance out having color. So if I'm doing color in here, then I like to balance out that color throughout the rest of the face. So I just do a little dash along the jawline and then a little bit more up here. It's just balancing that color everywhere. Okay. See, this is just like, I'm not a quick makeup person, and I know I've been talking for about 26 minutes here, but still, to me, this is like just really, really easy, quick makeup. I don't know if I'll ever be a 5-minute makeup person. I just don't think that's realistic because I just can't do what I want to get done in that time, you know? So anyways, my final tip, and thank you if you've been watching with me the whole time, because it's real time, you know what I mean? So you can see how long it would really take minus talking. So anyway, so my third and final tip that I find that makes a giant difference in, oh great, now the fluff, in making a red lip look really beautiful and not just like, oh, I'm throwing a red lip, but something about it doesn't look right on my face, you know, is to have a blush on your cheeks that match the tone of the red lip you're wearing. If you're thinking, Adeline, like, I'm wearing a red lip, what do you mean the tone? I mean, is it kind of more of a reddish red lip? Is it more of like that bluey, cool red lip? And if you don't know what I mean, it'll just look more like that scarlet red. And so in makeup terms, that just means that it has more of like that cool undertone where it's like that blood red. And so that might even, you know, it's actually, that term might actually come from blood, because when you look at your veins, it looks bluey, but when it comes out, it's just that scarlet red, right? Anyway, so the undertone really matters. So some people suit more of an orangey, warm red like that. And then so they would have a blush that just has an undertone that goes accordingly, right? So one that I'm going to choose is from Laura Geller. Again, my mom actually gave this to me because she don't use it. It's the Baked Blush, sorry, little puberty. Baked Blush-N-Brighten blush. Why did I say that again? In Berry Truffle. There you go. Oh, good little camera. So I'm just going to take this brush from Japonesque. NARS have ones like this as well. NARS maybe came out with theirs first. I don't know, don't care. So I'm just going to dip into this. So this blush is kind of in those berry tones, and it just has more of that reddish, cool red undertone to it, you know? So I have the definition of my cheeks, but I don't have the color, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on the front of my cheek here. Get a little closer. And I am just going to add a little flush of color, okay? So I didn't put too much on my brush, and I'm just touching my cheek very, very softly. So you can already see this is giving that little hint of rouge, okay? And so that is really going to complement our lips. It's not going to take away, it's not competing the way redness in your face would, because you don't have control of where the redness would be. Whereas with blush, you have control, and it's just in that really flattering area of your face that actually helps your red lip to shine even more. I hope that makes sense. So rosacea and stuff, it might be in places that you don't want it to be, you know? So if you even out the redness in your face with a foundation, whatever your choice is, and then control the flush, the color of your face with your blush. And then I just like to just a tiny bit on the bridge of my nose. Same concept as with my bronzer. I just like to, you know, do a little across the center of my face. So I just think it complements it. So I put that color on, and so now I don't have anything left on the brush. I am just softening it up, just blending it a little bit more. And if this looks like a lot, it's not. I promise, because once you get a bold lip on, it, you know, everything else kind of takes the backseat, you know. Your lip is meant to be that center stage. And also in photos and stuff, makeup is just gobbled up from the light. I don't know how else to explain it, but don't be afraid to make it a little stronger as long as it's blended. Okay, sometimes that's what people are really afraid of with blush, is that it's, sorry, just like sitting so awkwardly here. Sorry, so what I was saying is sometimes with blush, people are really afraid of it not looking right, because half the time, sometimes it's just, it's more of the application, like it wasn't put quite in the right spot or wasn't blended enough. Maybe their makeup brush is just kind of crappy, you know what I mean? So we're gonna put on our red lip finally. I see a fluff on my camera. So the one I'm gonna put on today is a mini from Tom Ford. Oh. If you don't know, I'm a makeup artist for Tom Ford as well as Bobbi Brown. Both are owned by Estee Lauder. So Estee Lauder owns like a bunch of companies, and then Bobbi Brown and Tom Ford fall under their umbrella. So I'm technically employed by Estee Lauder, but I work for Bobbi Brown and Tom Ford as a makeup artist. So I was gifted this by work. You can see the cute little TF there. Yeah, you can see it. So this shade is called Scarlet Rouge. How very fitting. This is just called lip color. It's just his standard lip color, which I love. I'm so impressed. Like, I'm new to working with Tom Ford. It just happened in the second half of this year. And I'd heard that he's known for his lipsticks. And I tried this one out, and I was surprised at how good it was. It never went dry. It didn't fade. And I was just like, what is this sorcery? Like, what is making this so effective? I don't know. I don't know. But anyways, so we're just gonna put this on, and it's just such a, oh sorry, I had a little bit of lip balm on. So I'm just gonna wipe that away a little bit. So I have a little bit of moisture left, but it's not like gonna create a slip, you know. So I'm just gonna go in. I'm gonna go in with the tip. I wonder if that'll, will it focus? Just gonna go in with that tip, you know, with the lipstick. Try and get it a little closer. And I'm just gonna lightly kind of make little marks to get the edges of my lips in. Go ahead with your lip liner if you want, however you like to do it. This is the part where you probably know, you already know how to put on your lipstick. Oopsies, sorry. Hopefully. If not, ask me and I can help you. Going in. Okay, just going along the edge there. Flip around so you can hopefully see okay. Okay. All right. And I usually do that first. It's funny, in this lighting, this looks super orange. Yeah, it's funny. Isn't it so satisfying to put on color? All right, and then I fill in. Again, just let that transfer to the top. This is so creamy and comfortable, but not so overly creamy where you, if you like put on too much, it just kind of like gobs up. Like, it just, you have to experience it to know what I mean, you know? It just feels wonderful. It's like, it has a little bit of sheerness to it. So it's not overwhelmingly pigmented. I feel like all makeup nowadays, like everybody on social media raves about how pigmented something is. But sometimes that's not what you always want. Like I find this so easy to use because it's not crazily pigmented. So you don't see every tiny little edge, you know? So even though like I look in the mirror and I think, oh, that looks really good. It's not super jaggedy or anything, but I know it's not perfect, but it doesn't look like it. It doesn't draw attention like, oof, that red lip is really crooked, you know? So I actually like that this isn't crazy pigmented. Okay, what's that? Okay. There, oh my gosh, it looks orange on camera. It's not, I promise. So and then another thing about this mini, I'm just gonna put it in my bag, and it's just perfect, it's perfect little size. So that's my red lip. So recap my 3 top tips. Make sure your skin tone is super even and that it matches the rest of your body, so you're not a floating head. And if you're in, what's the word? If you're kind of in a pickle and you don't have the right color of foundation exactly, say it's a little too dark, grab some bronzer and bring it down your neck, and that should fix it for you. That's what I do when I am trying out, say, a new sample of a foundation. I'm going to try the formula, but maybe I didn't quite get the right shade perfect, you know, the first time. I just take bronzer and bring it down my neck. Anyways, sorry. So the first tip is to have really even skin tone, and the second is to make sure you really frame your eyebrows so that they're just helping to just like anchor the rest of your face, because we want the main focus to be our lip color. And then the third is to make sure we add a little bit of flush to our cheeks, because that helps to complement and support the bright color on our lips without competing. So we don't want the color to focus on everything else, because that can compete sometimes, but this is close to the mouth and it's just a flattering part of the face. It just works, you know what I'm saying? So I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, leave them for me. It would be fun to talk. So this is my first live. I'm sorry I was a little kind of not so sure at first, but you know, it's also been a while. I've been traveling. I've been doing courses to learn how to better follow my dreams and such. So anyways, I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. I plan to do these very often. So take care. Bye-bye. I'm going to end the stream. Peak concurrence, what's that?